Thousands of years ago, complex technology which bridged the gap between the physical world and the spiritual world was developed in Iraq, Egypt, Mexico, and European megalithic sites such as Stonehenge. Buried deep inside sacred mounds of earth in Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, in Egypt, in Iran and Iraq, and also buried deep under the pyramids of Mexico, we have discovered statues of very strange demons. Alongside these statues are other artifacts which resemble the components of electrical circuits, such as the Jed pillar, which looks suspiciously very similar to a Tesla coil. In the ancient world, electricity was being generated using batteries filled with acid vinegar, and these devices created a flowing energy which was used by the Illuminati royal families of ancient Egypt, ancient Iraq, ancient Britain, and ancient Mexico to make psychic contact with spirits, angels, and demons. These devices in turn inspired the greatest scientists of the modern world, some of whom were members of secret societies which hosted seances in which ectoplasm and technological apparatus were used to show us images of the spirit world. All this technology was kept utterly secret. Welcome to the world of forbidden electrical, psychic, spiritual technology. Welcome to the world of forbidden TV. My name is Chris Everard, and I travel the world investigating psychic, spiritual, and technological secrets which the ruling elite have kept secret for thousands and thousands of years. In this episode, we take to the skies of Egypt with the DJI Inspire Super Drone. We use 4K stereoscopic cameras and a special contrast and laser scanning app from Adobe to reveal secret chambers inside the pyramids of Giza. We reconstruct brand new 3D models of the Great Pyramid from our 4K super resolution images, and for the first time ever on film can confirm that the Great Pyramid is actually a honeycomb structure with many more niches, nooks and small chambers than previously thought. We also journey deep into the King's Chamber and reveal for the first time on camera its secret second entrance, and also show you a trapdoor in the floor of the King's Chamber which reveals that part of the floor is actually hollow. And we also investigate how vocal chanting inside the King's Chamber reveals resonant frequencies that sound like some ghost voice is singing back at you. We go deep into the Great Pyramid and show you the doorways to many secret chambers. Inside the King's Chamber, we conduct experiments with chanting and acoustics, and we reveal the so-called hidden voice of the King's Chamber, which is its sacred resonant frequency known as Om. And also in this episode, we explore underneath the catacombs of the Vatican in Rome and discover the Pope's most holy relic, which shows St. Peter in the form of a hallucinogenic mushroom. Giza, Egypt. This plateau is where a large number of megalithic Greco-Roman, Macedonian and Egyptian pyramids, temples, lodges, chapels and monuments to the gods have been built over thousands of years. We already know about shafts and tunnels and chambers inside most of the Egyptian pyramids. But new imaging, high contrast technologies and the use of GoPro Session 5 cameras have enabled us to laser map new 3D models of all the Giza pyramids. Our 3D models are based on high contrast images from the DJI Inspire Super Drone. By raising the threshold luminosity of our images, we end up with a much simplified image of each Giza pyramid. This high-resolution, simplified image allows us to see indentations, nooks, niches, and even small cavities in the structure of the Giza pyramids. By mapping just the contour and shape of individual stone blocks, we can see many niches and small chambers close to the exterior surface of each of the Giza pyramids. So join us now on an epic voyage of discovery as we also explore the bizarre acoustic cymatic properties inside the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. This documentary is produced by the Enigma channel. The Enigma channel is like WikiLeaks, but instead of reading documents about secret subjects, you can put your feet up and watch thousands of documentary films and TV shows about secret subjects. The Enigma channel produces documentary TV series and movies about subjects which the mainstream media ignore. Enigma channel movies are not on YouTube, they're not on Netflix, and are exclusive to the Enigma channel. Enigma TV shows are made for a mature, well-informed audience, and many of our subjects are just simply not suitable for a video sharing website. Every week we are out and about filming in ancient temples, pyramids and cathedrals, bringing you up-to-date documentary films about the occult, conspiracies, the secret space program, paranormal research, and a whole load of other subjects which would normally be censored from mainstream TV. Our latest movie is an investigation into voodoo, the paranormal, and spirit communication. Sign up at enigmatv.com or visit our members site at enigmachannel.com. In exchange for a small annual donation, you get exclusive access to thousands of great TV shows and movies.
In the modern world, ancient Egypt is absolutely crawling with tourists. And the tourists don't really realize that hallucinogenic plants were very gods would appear. And in the mind's eye of the magician, they would see forms within the smoke plumes of the opium incense, and priests would chant.
We now go inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and in this part of the show we're going to investigate the various secret chambers and doorways and film them for the very first time using 4K high-resolution cameras. And we start off in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid of Cheops. In the right-hand corner behind the sarcophagus there is this trap door. It's about 4.5 feet long. It's about 1.5 feet wide. There is a hole which shows that there is a cavern underneath the floor. And the last time I was in the Great Pyramid, I met an official engineer from the Department of Antiquities. And he told me that there has been a geophysics survey 3 times of this particular area of the King's Chamber, once in 1990, once in 2000 and once in 2010. And there is a small tunnel extending out from the floor, just below the floor of the King's Chamber, at an angle to the corner. And it extends out about 8 to 10 feet. And this official engineer, his name was Mohammed, told me that the tunnel ends in a dead end. And the question is this: why is the floor of the King's Chamber built in such a way that there can be a cavity underneath it with a tunnel extending out from the corner? That's just one of the typical mysteries of this King's Chamber. Also, above the actual trapdoor, there is an extended corner joint, and it looks as if the corner block to the back of the sarcophagus actually has been cut into a slight curve, so that the corner is actually curved within the actual block itself, rather than just 2 blocks joining each other as you would have in normal masonry. The other corner behind the sarcophagus is yet another place which tourists rarely look at. And an Egyptologist called J.P. Lepre made it clear that in 1990 there was an extremely wide joint between 2 blocks. This is in the left-hand corner of the King's Chamber behind the sarcophagus. I interviewed an archaeologist from the Egyptian Department of Antiquities second to last time I was here in the King's Chamber, and he said that this joint had been the subject of some restoration work. And if we look at this, it's very clear that someone at some time in the recent past has hacked and chipped and chiseled their way through this joint. And in Alan Alford's book, Pyramid of Secrets, and also in the journals of an Egyptologist called J.P. Lepre, we know that there's been suspicions about this particular block, and people have said that this could be a secret entrance to the King's Chamber. At the moment, it seems to have been filled in with cement, but we know that there's been lies, cover-ups, and corruption amongst some of the officials of the old Egyptian antiquities regime, and thankfully those people have now been replaced and removed. One can only assume that this block was once removed and there was an excavation behind it. And the reason that I assume that is because for a very long time
In recent years, the public have been stopped from entering the King's Chamber. Above this block, there is another very, very big seam that's been hacked and chipped and chiseled away. And that again suggests that this back left-hand corner of the King's Chamber behind the sarcophagus has been really excavated and examined, but it hasn't been publicized, and that this could be an alternative entrance, or it could be a doorway to yet another chamber inside the Great Pyramid. That's called the pyramid effect. No kidding. Cameras and audio recorders and anything electronic go very, very strange. The base of this sarcophagus is not level. There are lots and lots of people who come from all over the world to make voice and sound experiments inside the King's Chamber. And very often they lay down inside this sarcophagus and they do chanting and other kinds of ad-libbed sounds. And inside this sarcophagus, over the last few visits, we found gemstones and little crystals that have been left here by various people. The combination of having a pure, solid granite block that's been hollowed out, which has then been placed inside this chamber, which is itself made of 100 rose granite blocks, and we know for sure that parts of the floor of the King's Chamber are actually hollow, has created this incredible acoustic chamber. The ancient world is full of incantations and spells, chantings and weird vocal manipulations. And people in the priesthoods of ancient Egypt used to call out the names of their gods in spiritual invocations. Now it seems that the resonant frequency is somewhere around the typical chanting frequency that you find in India, and that is usually what we call the Om, the sacred sound of Om. So a mid-tone doesn't really have that much resonance, but if you try a lower tone typical of what's used on the Indian subcontinent, you actually get more of a resonant tone. There's no question that the typical Om sound is the resonant frequency of this chamber. I'll try it once more.
We now journey back into a time way before the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. We journey back into the prehistory of mankind, when the landscape itself was worshipped, and the stars were worshipped, and the planets were not really known by ancient man. The actual stars themselves were given different personalities by ancient man, and this is known as archaeoastronomy. Ancient man decided to actually place standing stones into the landscape, which were mapped out and arranged to mimic the arrangement of stars in the night sky. Rock formations, mountains, and volcanoes themselves were actually worshipped as if they were gods. Every great religion started out as a small, crazy cult. Some of these cults worshipped plants, and they even worshipped mushrooms. Way back in the Stone Age history of mankind, we somehow discovered that telepathy could be enhanced using psychedelic plants. At Shanidar in ancient Iraq, Stone Age people grew gardens of ephedra. Ephedra is like a Stone Age version of cocaine. They also grew vines of the morning glory plant, and the tendrils of morning glory ended up being featured as a motif on one of the royal crowns of ancient Egypt. But it is far more than just telepathy which drove ancient mankind to cultivate psychedelic plants. In the Sahara of Algeria and Libya, a great mushroom god existed. They drew his image on the wadis of Algeria. In fact, these mushroom-munching mystics actually used dried psychedelic mushrooms as a form of money. In fact, henbane seeds, thornapple, opium poppy seeds, and amanita mushrooms all became used as a form of currency in the ancient world. The iconography of the magic mushroom has actually inspired the ceremonial robes of many religions, especially Catholicism. Périgord in France is where we find prehistoric caves. 22,000 years ago, ancient man drew lunar phase diagrams using charcoal and traded psychedelic mushrooms like a form of money. When Christianity finally came to Périgord, the ancient mushroom cult of France amalgamated images of hallucinogenic mushrooms with crucifixes. As Christianity swept across the world, the ancient mushroom cults equated the legend of the Holy Spirit with the feeling of euphoria one gets from eating magic mushrooms. Stone Age psychedelia is the most in-depth investigation into the kings and queens of the ancient world. It's a book which is far more than just about drugs in the ancient world. It proves that the richest families who ever walked the face of the planet gained their riches by dealing in opium, cocaine, hashish, and tobacco. Stone Age psychedelia proves that the psychedelic experience is at the root of all religions. Stone Age psychedelia is available exclusively with a free DVD documentary film from ChristopherEverard.com and also from ChristopherEverard.co.uk. These plants and these mushrooms connected mankind with the Mother Goddess, what we today call Mother Nature. But it was not just the Mother Nature Goddess spirit who was contacted during psychedelic rituals. Ancient man also contacted angels and spirits and elders from their own villages and from their own communities. This was the beginning of the world's great religions. From the Himalayas, where temple ball hashish was made, to the deserts of Mexico and the deserts of Arizona, where mushrooms were cultivated by the Huaca and the Anasazi, we know that the root of all great religions is seated into the world of psychedelic plants. Stone Age Psychedelia is a 308-page book with a full index, and it has full colour illustrations. It goes way beyond introducing you to the types of plants and funguses that were used to get the psychedelic experience in the ancient world, Stone Age psychedelia also takes you into the spirit world and introduces you to all of the different types of plant teachers and plant spirits that have been reported by shamans and mystics throughout the ages. There is a longer, more in-depth version available on the Enigma channel. The Enigma channel is like WikiLeaks, but instead of reading documents about secret subjects, you can put your feet up and watch thousands of fascinating documentary films covering subjects which have been censored and suppressed from the mainstream media for decades. The Enigma channel is a 100% independent TV network with documentaries and TV shows which are not available on YouTube, not on Netflix, and are unique to the Enigma channel. If you would like to join one of our filming crews and go on an expedition to the ancient world, then you need to visit the Enigma Channel website. That's enigmachannel.com, or you can visit the members site at enigmatv.com. Use the contact form and write the word expedition in the subject heading. In exchange for a small contribution towards our filming costs, you will actually become a member of our crew. You'll be eating with us in the same hotels, you'll be traveling with us, you'll be meeting all of the authors and people which we interview. Now, every year we are filming at amazing museums in places like Athens, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, New York, Mexico, Egypt, you name it. You'll get to stay in haunted castles. You can visit haunted pubs, you can be taken on moonlit walks around London, and we visit many ancient cities. Our expeditions include lectures about things like Nostradamus, the Cathars, the Illuminati, Nikola Tesla, the Vatican, paranormal research. Believe me, it's a lot of fun. So what you do is you contact us via the Enigma Channel websites. It's enigmachannel.com or enigmatv.com, and we look forward to meeting you and look forward to inviting you as a member of our filming crew. The Enigma Channel is rather like WikiLeaks, except instead of reading documents about secret subjects, you'll be watching documentary films. There are literally thousands of hard-to-find TV shows and video files which were deleted from public sharing video sites years ago, all on the Enigma Channel. It's an amazing library of knowledge. And top researchers and top authors upload their videos to the Enigma Channel first before they upload them to social media and social video sharing websites. Signing up for an account takes less than